Hi fellow Alaskans, how are you all doing this evening? We are here in Eagle River, Alaska for the Alaska Candidate Forum for the State and House of Representatives here for Juneau, Alaska. They are just about ready to begin this forum. I am doing a quick test run to make sure that everything's there. I do apologize for that. The Candidate Forum is about ready to begin. Thank you all for tuning in, like and share.
No. It's very yeah. It's not consistent.
All right, I'd like to welcome everybody to our candidate forum. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to the candidates for giving valuable door-knocking time to come and talk to you. Thank you all to our audience, because without you, there'd be no reason for the candidates to be here. So we are so grateful that you are all here. My name is Jennifer Bundy. I am the Alaska District 24 Chair of the Republican Party. You know how it goes, right? So we are going to go ahead and start. We are going to start with an invocation that Lisa Santerre, one of our precinct leaders in District 24, is going to give us, and then following that, Tyson Bundy, my husband, will lead us in the pledge.
Lord, thank you so much for giving us a country where we actually get to vote and listen to our candidates and get answers to our questions. Help us all to be civil to each other. Help us all to remember that there's no one in this room not in need of your divine mercy, and no one in this room that is not your beloved child. Thank you again for all that you have given us. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, so we invited all the candidates from the Senate District L race, the State Representative District 23 race, and the State Representative District 24 race. These candidates were all committed to come. We did have two that declined, but we wish them well. This event is being live streamed on Facebook through our District 24 Alaska Republican Party Facebook page. So if you know somebody who was not able to be here, if you want to go to find that live stream later, you are welcome to do that and go ahead and share. We are not going to be interacting with the Facebook Live for comments. We just don't have the forum to do that right now. However, we do encourage those watching the face stream live, if they want to put comments or questions, to go ahead and do so, and then encourage the candidates to go find that live stream and look through the comments and reach out to those people that have specific questions. We do have a couple of housekeeping things. There is an emergency exit here in the building. If you go out this door, down the hall, to the left, right, Kim? Down this way, out the back. There are bathrooms over here. Both of these doors open. You can also go back out the front door that you came in, just in case there were any of those things. We also encourage you, if you see these blue flyers around, there is a QR code on here. If you want to scan that QR code with your phone and make a donation to help cover the cost of this event, District 24 would appreciate that. We also had a event brought to our attention that we wanted to let you know about. Charlie Hurt, an opinion editor in the Washington Times, will be here on Tuesday, August 2nd, if you look in the back, Eugene has more information, so if you have any questions, go ahead and see him. There is also a flyer that is on the corner of Sharon Jackson's table over there, so you can look at that if you'd like to know more details about that. For those that are in District 24, and if you are not sure if you are, we do have lots of maps, so you can look and see where you are, what your district is. We can put them out on, they were on this table previously, we'll put them back here. And then we also had some on the sign-in table, so you can see your district and you can also see your precinct if you would like to know what that is. But those that are in District 24, we are having a meeting next Wednesday, 7 p.m. at Pizza Man. It's just our regular meeting. Anybody who's in District 24 is welcome to join us. If you would like to order, I encourage you to come a little bit early, about 6:45, and place an order so that you can go ahead and have your food while we're having our meeting. It's good to support the business that is allowing us to host in their facility. Let's see. Also, next Thursday, so Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, it's a busy week. There is a ranked choice voting presentation by the Americans for Prosperity Foundation. It's bipartisan. It's open for anyone who would like to attend. It's free. It's at the Wilda Marston Theater. Doors open at 5:30 and the event begins at 6. There's a link to the flyer on our Facebook page. Again, you can go there to find more information about that if you'd like. Okay, there is our housekeeping stuff. So let's learn more about what we're doing tonight. We are going to have it set up in a couple different sessions. We are first going to allow all the candidates to introduce themselves. As we begin each different section, we're going to pick a name randomly of a candidate that we're going to begin with. The first session is an opening statement. Each candidate will have 1 minute to give an opening statement. On this front row, Donald is here with a timekeeper so you can see how much time you have left. At the end of your minute, please close and pass the microphone to the next candidate. We're just going to go alphabetically, which is why we are in this format, alphabetically by last name. So the first one we're going to do reverse alphabetical. So it's going to go that way. And then after we do our intro, then we are going to have a lightning round, which I will give instructions when we get to that point. Then we have a question session that our committee that planned this event came up with a couple of questions for our candidates, and then we will do a closing statement. So that is the rough outline of our evening. Just so everybody's on the same page, we did give some rules to our candidates before coming. So we just wanted everybody to be on the same page that everybody is to respect each other's time. You have the 1 minute, 2 minute, 2 minute, 1 minute. During the forum, you're to speak about yourself only, not other candidates in yours or other races. It's your time to shine. Stay within your time limit. Do not talk while others are talking during the formal portion. After we finish the formal portion, we'll have more of the informal, so you will have a chance to approach the candidates and discuss with them any questions that might arise for you. And then if we have to give any warnings, if we give 2 warnings, then you forfeit your closing statement time. So that is our outline. So we are going to begin with Clayton Trotter, Senate District L, for our opening. And as you candidates begin, you just pick up the mic. You don't have to turn it on or off. Our amazing tech guys in the back have that covered. So you just pick up and you will talk, hold the mic close to your mouth so everyone will be able to hear you. Clayton.
Well, I cannot see the timer. Okay, great. That's good. My name's Clayton Trotter. I'm running for Senate District L. I have a lot of notes here. I think probably ought to go over them. First off, I just want to say I just love Alaska. I moved up here because I wanted to give my little son, Davy, Alaska. And we have really enjoyed it. They've had such a wonderful childhood growing up here in Alaska. We've gone, hiking, skiing, kayaking, just everything. And then, well, of course, dip netting too. I'm a professor at UAA. I've been teaching there for the last 11 years. I've taught thousands of hardworking UAA students business law. And as a tenured business law professor, I'm also a former law clerk to a federal district judge and former corporate counsel of General Mills Incorporated. That's it.
You want to end this one?
Yep, next is Dan Sadler.
Well, good evening, everybody, and thanks for showing up for this event on a sunny day, and thanks to Jennifer and the district for putting this on. My name is Dan Sadler, and Eagle River has been my home for the past 30 years. I've raised my children here. We have grandkids, and I had the privilege of representing this area in the State House for 8 years. I'm running because I know our community and share its values and know how to put conservative principles into action and get things done in Juneau. I have my commitment to the members of HD 24, which is Peters Creek, Chugiak, Birkwood, and Klutna, that I will work hard to keep a lid on state government, to support the resource industries that pay our bills in Alaska, to champion the military and veterans who make such fantastic neighbors, and to make sure that our permanent fund is safe and healthy and that our dividend is sustainable and predictable. You have my commitment to work hard for these goals. I'm looking forward to the debate and looking forward to being your representative. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. It is now Daryl Nelson.
Hi, my name is Daryl Nelson. I'm a longtime resident, and God put me here in Alaska in 1969, and I was living in Chugiak for almost 50 years, and I've been talking about issues like healthcare for all, and the services that people with disabilities are not being heard of, and I have a whole list of that, and the background check is making it hard for people with disabilities to hire who they want. That needs to happen. Healthcare for all Alaskans needs to be expanded by using the electric care program, and I appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Daryl. Now it is Ken McCarty.
Thanks. I'm going to stay down here with Daryl. As I'm Ken McCarty, and I'm running for State Senate District L. I'm currently the State House Representative for District 13. And now with the expansion of our area, District L, all of Eagle River, Chugiak, which is our community. It's great that we have a district that really represents our community. I'm running because I'm very concerned about what's going on. And as the State House Representative, seeing that there's a dance that goes on in Juneau. And you've got to know this, otherwise you're not going to do well in Juneau. And they don't tell you the dance. They don't tell you what you have to do to move bills. And if you can't figure it out, you just roll through there as a representative but not make a lot of things happen. I've been watching this dance and doing a lot of work trying to make sure things move. This past 2 years, I was involved in moving 17 bills. So 2 of them were mine, but the rest were co-authoring the bills there. So I appreciate your vote as a Senator for this area. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Now it is Sharon Jackson.
I am Sharon Jackson, a constitutional Republican running for House District 24. I came to Alaska in '84 by way of Army. My orders sent me here. I was a happy girl. I'm experienced as well. I served in the House in 2019, 2021, and have earned 100% voting record with the National Conservative Union. And 2 out of 3 bills I sponsored did pass this session. Yay. My values are God, family, country, issues, election reform, parental rights, economic recovery, principles, PFD defender. Until the people change it, I will obey the law. Safety first, no criminal entitlements.
Thank you, Sharon. Now Roger Branson.
Hi, Roger Branson. I'm a longtime mental health advocate, born out in Anchorage. I moved to Eagle River in '97 after the military's fire displaced us in Big Lake. So I am a conservative. I am currently spending a lot of time with the less fortunate amongst us in Centennial Park, and that has taken up a lot of my bandwidth this last month or so. So my campaign has yet to formally launch, but my advocacy will remain strong for those who we believe might be the 300 newest residents to House District 23. We've been checking the maps, and we're right on the line, one side or the other, but for the human beings who are caught up in this crisis, I will remain there on the boots on the ground and help them. So Roger Branson, running for House District 23, thank you for being here tonight. Thank you to House District 24 for putting this on.
Thank you, Roger. So we'll pass our mic back to the other end for Joe Wright.
Thank you, everyone, for turning out this evening. I know it's a beautiful day out there, and I want to say thank you to Jennifer and District 24 for hosting this event. I'm Joe Wright. I'm running for Senate District L. I'm a 39-year resident of Alaska, did a career in the military with the United States Navy, and served on the Community Council out in South Fork. Some of you may also know me from Deschka Landing and from a lot of the veterans groups that I work to support. And I believe in a full PFD. I believe in limited government. And I believe that people need to be accountable. And in today's day and age, we need to get back to the basics of government: family, safety, and security. I thank you for your time and look forward to this event. Thank you.
Thank you. You can just hold that for a minute till we know who's going first next. All right. Our next portion we call the lightning round. These are going to be questions that are given to each candidate that they've been given in advance. Each candidate will choose a specific answer, A, B, or if they choose not to answer, that's fine. They can just leave their paddle on the table, but that's an answer as well. We acknowledge that there are specific situations that might come up that might have a candidate choose a different response in the future. So if you have questions about what those specific things might be or their answer that they give today, please reach out to them following this formal portion and talk to them about that. Just as a point of clarification, we do have 3x5 cards. There were some at the sign-in table. There's some on this table right here. So after our formal portion, if you have any questions that you come up with for a specific candidate, please write those questions on those cards, write your contact information, and then make sure that the candidate receives them. There are some baskets and boxes and buckets on tables for you to put those cards in, and then it's up to the candidate to reach out to you and answer your question. So if you come up with a question, please feel free to do that after we're done with this formal portion. Okay, so our first question, are you ready, candidates? These are all questions that everybody should have received ahead of time, so they should already be prepared. But the first question was, do you support a constitutional convention? A, yes. B, no. And I'll read the question again. Do you support a constitutional convention? A, yes. B, no. Thank you. Question 2. If there is a gap in our state budget, which type of tax would you support? A, state sales tax, or B, state income tax? I'll read it again. If there is a gap in our state budget, which type of tax would you support? A, state sales tax, or B, state income tax? Thank you. Question 3. To achieve a balanced budget and a full PFD, would you support additional revenue in the form of taxes? A, yes. B, no. To achieve a balanced budget, this is reading it again. To achieve a balanced budget and a full PFD, would you support additional revenue in the form of taxes? A, yes. B, no. Question 4. With Alaska's current stance on abortion, A, do you support the status quo? Or B, would you put more restrictions in place? Reading it again. With Alaska's current stance on abortion, A, do you support the status quo? Or B, would you put more restrictions in place? Question 5. Alaska receives lots of funding and federal aid, and along with it comes regulations and a requirement for state matching funds. Do you prefer to A, accept federal aid and funding with the required regulations and match, or B, depend solely on state funding and maintain more control over decision making. Reading it again. Alaska receives lots of funding and federal aid, and along with it comes regulations and a requirement for And along with it comes regulations and a requirement for state matching funds. Do you prefer to A, accept federal aid and funding with the required regulations and match, or B, depend solely on state funding and maintain more control over decision making? And our final question in this round, do you support a binding caucus? A, yes, B, no. Again, do you support a binding caucus? A, yes, B, no. Thank you. All right, this final, well, not final, our next section is a two-part question given in 2 rounds that the candidates must answer. For each part of the question, candidates will have 2 minutes to respond. I will read both portions of the questions first, since the candidates have not heard these questions yet, but then we'll go back and we'll answer the first question. Each candidate will have 2 minutes, and then we'll ask the second question, and each candidate will have 2 minutes. We will again choose a name out of the thing. I did put Clayton's name back in, so it's 1 of 7. And then this time we will go alphabetical order for answering after whoever's name is chosen. So the first part of our question is, what 2 or 3 issues do you see affecting our Chugiak, Eagle River, Jay-Bear community specifically, and how do you intend to address them? Our second part is, what specific plan do you have to help move Alaska forward, and in what way? So our first question again, I will read it. What 2 or 3 issues do you see affecting our Chugiak, Eagle River, Jay-Bear community specifically, and how do you intend to address them? Our candidate that will go first is Dan Sadler. And then following Dan, we'll come this way down the table and then back up from the other end. So here is the mic.
Thank you. Is this a 1 minute or 2 minute?
2 minutes.
2 minutes, very good. Those are some big important questions. It'll take probably more than 2 minutes. But I'd say the 3 most important issues facing our community, in my view, is first to make sure that the government at all levels relieves Alaskans in our community of the burden of regulation, taxation, and influence on our lives. So the first thing is get government off of our backs. The second thing, having said that, I think it's important that we have an economy in Alaska that supports the value of our homes, which is the biggest investment most of us will ever make, and the value of our businesses and the security of our jobs. And the third issue, I think, is to make sure, well, yeah, there's 4 issues, lots of issues, but the Port of Anchorage, Port of Alaska is important as well. Briefly, how I would address those. First, to get government off our backs, I'm a conservative Republican, believes limited government is good government. We should relieve people of the burden from government and let them make their own way. That's the promise of our capitalist society. That's the freedom promised to us in our Constitution. That's why most of us came to Alaska. The second question about, the second question is the economy. I've been privileged to work in the government agencies responsible for fostering resource development, and I've worked to support oil and gas development across the state, both in the legislature and in the private sector as a communications person. If we don't have good public policies, in effect, that support drilling for oil and gas, mining for gold and coal and other minerals, we will not have the wherewithal to have a good, solid economy. Our schools will not have the money we need. Our homes will drop in value. Our businesses will lay off people. So I will advocate for lower burdens to development, more expedient permitting, lower taxes when necessary on the resource industries, and vigorous outreach to the private industry to make sure they know they can invest in Alaska safely with an expected return on their investment. And third, the Port of Anchorage, real briefly, I had the privilege of representing that district my first couple terms. All of our food, Pampers, pop, gas, everything comes across that port. We have our experience in COVID of what happens when the supply chain is interrupted. If, by God forbid, that port should slump into the inlet, we would be very problematic situation. So we have to make sure that port operates. I will work to get capital funding and have permits. Thank you.
All right, and I just want to clarify, this first question, you have 2 minutes to answer, and then you have 2 minutes to answer the second part. So when you get your second minute, you can go back and add into that. So the first part, you get 2 minutes to answer, what 2 or 3 issues do you see affecting our local community? So that's the one that we're answering
I
first.
talk fast, okay?
Sorry to confuse you. All right, so we'll go on to Clayton.
Well, I kind of see the things the same way he does, but I think first and foremost is jobs, the economy, as they used to say, it's the economy, stupid. Taxes is part of that, and education would be my third place on that, and then finally the life issue. With respect to jobs, the oil and gas industry is the backbone of Alaska, and recently the federal government has dumped on us, literally, taking all sorts of resources and making resources unavailable, can't drill, and so forth. There is a doctrine called, well, basically it's, just a moment. States can not follow the federal government, and the states have a duty not to do so to protect their citizens. For example, here in Alaska, we sell marijuana. It's a federal crime to sell marijuana, but we have taken on the federal government. In California, they've got sanctuary cities. It's a federal crime to protect people who are illegal immigrants. But in California, they have sanctuary cities. So what we could do is say, federal government, we're not going to follow your regulations on oil and gas, and we're going to drill, drill, drill. Now, some other issues on the taxes, I would substitute a sales tax for property taxes. I think a statewide sales tax is far preferable to the enormous taxes people pay on their homes. And then education. I've been in education for 30 years, and I'll do everything I can to make sure that we have the best schools in America, in Alaska, and to get the students going faster. And then finally, I think probably should be first and foremost, Roe v. Wade's been overturned, and we need to reconsider that issue here. Thank you.
Thank you, Clayton. Joe Wright.
Okay, so in the Eagle River area, the three biggest issues that I see that are out there, the number one is our infrastructure. We need to get money out here and fix the problems that we have, especially with Artillery Road and the interchange in front of solid waste services. The second issue that I see is ensuring that we have safe and stable building codes out here. And working from the state level, I would work to rein in the overburdensome regulations that come from the municipality of Anchorage. And third is increasing the standards within our schools. Family is an important part, but we have to ensure that the standards that were coming out of the schools are increased. When my two sons graduated from Eagle River High School, school was in the 90th percentile. Now we're below 50. So we have to figure that out, and that would be my commitment when I go to Gino. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Roger Branson.
So the big issues that I would talk about affecting the local community also affects Anchorage, and it is homelessness and the blight that it is on our economy. And the folks I represent are consumers of mental health services that I advocate for. They are overly represented both in the homeless population as well as in corrections. There are solutions for these individuals. There are ways for them to find their way back. We have to understand what their plight are. And you know, right now at Centennial Campground, we're having a horrible time with them taking food back to the tents. But they're operating at Maslow's hierarchy at a very low level of security of needs. And to them, having a meal to eat in 6 hours or 8 hours is more important than it takes a priority over the fear of the bears coming in. And so we have the bears coming in. And it's just a lack of understanding of what they're going through. And so I heard somebody earlier in the community, or in the conversation earlier, talking about the people coming in from the villages and being caught up in homelessness in Anchorage, and that it's maybe a native issue. And I would agree with it, that it's maybe a native issue, but what I'd like to point out is that the homeless from here in Eagle River are getting displaced into Anchorage, and we do have a responsibility to figure out a solution for the individuals, and that would be my passion and the focus that I would bring to Juneau on the limited issue. Specific plans to move Alaska forward would be the same thing. If we can solve this homeless plight, if we can solve mental health and corrections, if we can get the the 2,000 or 3,000 people who just cycle through homelessness and corrections off of the drain on the economy, we would come forward greatly. Thank you.
Thank you, Roger. Sharon Jackson.
The three issues I will address is homelessness and borderline poverty. And I'm basing that on when I visit door to door, I am noticing that families are now living together to make a decent way of living. Infringement on family values, parental rights. Parental rights address education for their child, their moral values, their medical decisions. These decisions should be made by the parents, not by government. Safety, crime, that's a major concern. And we have had soft on crime bills in the past that was repealed. We now have a tougher on crime, but we need to do more work. This is Eagle River, Chuviak, and Peters Creek, and it's unnecessary for us to live concerned about our beautiful neighborhood. Main issue, the people of this community not being heard. You have your voices, you send your voices to Juneau, and they are absolutely ignored. So what do I plan to do about it? I plan to go to Juneau and represent you, your voices, your concern. I plan on giving a full PFD. A full PFD could help our economy with providing family businesses.
Thank you, Sharon. Ken McCarty.
Okay, thank you. And I'm going to piggyback on something that Sharon said, being heard, that the community hears us, that I'm all over the place in the community. In fact, in couple of places I'm known as the legislative pool shark. Now, I don't think I'm that good, but maybe good enough to win the table for a couple rounds. So, I own a business, a for-profit business. And you have to know the pulse of the communities, the pulse of your business, pulse of operations, so that my employees can get paid. That's the number one priority for me. I'm an aviator. And there's this term in aviation called fly the plane. That means don't get distracted by those other type of things. And people have crashed planes while they're looking for their cell phone or fiddling with something that has nothing to do with the flight of the plane. So the plane, the rule of aviation and flying the plane is thrust, lift, drag, and weight. In the aspect of government, I have this in my office in Juneau, and I made this up, that I believe thrust is the education workforce. Lift, values, morals, traditions that made our state great. Drag, regulations. You have to have some, but you can't have a lot because it's going to crash the plane. And weight is empowering Alaskans. And what do we need to do empowering Alaskans right now is help with this economy that, $20 bill 2 years ago was worth $20. Today it's worth only $7. I could have bought diesel for my truck at $2 a gallon 2 years ago when I left for Juneau. So now it's atrocious, and we need to be dealing with these type of things. In education, I was involved in trying to get students, and I still am, to get students that are in high school that they could be trade certified, ready to go at 17 or 18 years old, and the workforce is begging for these students to come work for them because they know they're going to stay in Alaska. They're not people coming to do the Alaska show and then they're gone. So these are things that I see. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Daryl Nelson.
Yes, I would like to see a transit authority. Lots of states like Massachusetts have a transit authority. I've been working on that for the last 20 years since I was on the Transit Advisory Board. The transit authority would give money from the state that would lower our property taxes. I would also support a full-time PFD with a sales tax that is 10%, 5 to 10%, and then it goes to the municipal caring fund, and then it gets distributed back to the cities. So that would lower the property taxes. I would also, my new slogan is healthcare, not welfare. We need to get people that can go to work, that got a college degree, and thanks to Sam Cotton and Randy Felton and Rick Halford, they helped me get my college degree, and now I can't use it because I'll lose my health care. That needs to end. Healthcare, not welfare. Thank you.
Thank you, Daryl. All right. Our second part of the two-part question is, what specific plan do you have to help move Alaska forward, and in what way? So you have 2 minutes now to answer that question, and we are going reverse alphabetical this time, and we are starting with Roger Branson.
So thank you. There we go. So I totally got confused. I thought we had to answer both those questions in 2 minutes, but I'll cover them both again. So I had a different angle on them. Thank you. Specific plans to move Alaska forward. So I do have a bachelor's degree in business administration. I have 20 years of running my own business and have had dozens of employees at different times. We need to build the economic infrastructure. We need to support it. We need workforce development. We need more people entering the workforce. And there are several thousand people who are totally sitting idle and need meaningful activity. And they need meaningful activity to return to the workforce, to return to productive lives, and to have the opportunity that the rest of us have. How they got to where they are, there's individual, several thousand individual trails that led them into the challenges that they have in their lives right now, and there will be just as many individual pathways out of that. The key is going to be listening to them, understanding them, showing compassion, and holding them accountable. And so to move this state forward, we're going to have to deal with the budget issues that we have. If we're going to pay a full PFD, we've got to either continue shrinking government, we've been working on that for 10, 12 years now, or we're going to have to find another stream. I would support sales tax because it can be targeted to get the tourist money and some of those into the stream, as well as the out-of-state workers who come here. So I think we have a bright future. I think there's lots of opportunity. I think there's lots of opportunities for individuals in recovery right now. I think there's lots of opportunity in recovery in our economy. So again, Roger Branson, State House District 23.
Thank you, Roger. We're actually going reverse alphabetical, so I'm going to hand it to Joe.
Thank you, Jennifer. So to drive the economic engine in Alaska, we need to pay a full statutory PFD as Governor Hammond envisioned. That money should go to the people, and they should be able to rely upon that every year within their budget. If we know what the market is doing, and we know what we brought in oil revenue and other resources, the very use of that money was originally designed because in Alaska, we did not get the mineral rights, and we don't own those on our property. That should be guaranteed to the people. Second, we need a firm and stable tax structure, and we need to take a hard look at all of the organizations that don't pay property taxes. There's a lot of organizations in the state. If you look at downtown Anchorage, over 60% of the properties down there don't pay taxes at all. So we need to take a hard look at that and reel in some of the government spending. If we don't have the money, we don't spend it. Thank you.
All right, on to Clayton Trotter.
Hey, Joe and I agree about a lot. I like his comments. First of all, I think we ought to be taxing spending and not income and not property. If you have a state sales tax, when somebody goes out and buys a boat or a car or anything, they'll pay a tax to support the government. There are many states who have been very successful with this kind of tax structure, Florida and Texas, for example. Another thing would be to not tax our homes, tax economic activity where people are buying stuff, and not tax our incomes. I guess I've already stated that. Additionally, I would address federal overreach in regulation in Alaska in the oil industry. I would create within the law department a task force to go after federal regulators and have an indication, or put it another way, cause the state officials to cease cooperating with federal authorities trying to stop growing. And then finally, eliminating unnecessary spending. For example, because Roe v. Wade has been overturned, we have been mandated, even though the people of Alaska have already said they don't want to fund abortions with, with state dollars. The Supreme Court of Alaska has said, well, you have to fund it because there's a federal constitutional right that you'd be infringing on if you didn't fund it. That right no longer exists. That's certainly one area where we could all agree that we don't need to be paying for abortions. Now, maybe you agree they ought to be taking place, but paying for them and letting them happen is two different things. Anyway, that's where I'd head.
Thank you, Clayton. Now Dan Sadler.
Very good. Well, thank you. Having answered both questions in a very quick 2 minutes, I'm going to take a few minutes, or a few seconds actually, to amplify some of the answers from the yes, no, A, B. You notice I actually did not raise my paddle about the question, would I support a state sales tax or a state income tax? That's one of those damn if you do, damn if you don't questions. I don't support either tax. I think we can manage our state finances by cutting back the budget, managing our finances smartly, making sure we can say no when people want you to say yes. So I don't think we need to do a tax. The question about a constitutional convention is a touchy one, and a lot of folks might not like to hear this, but since statehood, Alaska has amended its constitution 27 times. And to do that, we got the protection of our Second Amendment rights, to define marriage as one man and one woman, to bar local government from, to authorizing veteran housing bonds. And we did each of those with a one-by-one amendment process. I think that opening up a constitutional convention would open everything up to all kinds of changes, and not just the issues that people who are advocating it want. The people, I don't think it would be okay to open up the Constitution and lose our protection of our Second Amendment rights and our protections for veterans bonds and for defense of marriage, et cetera, et cetera. Also, the same folks who would be finding candidates for the convention are the same folks who would put a liberal assembly majority in. The question about binding caucus, I do not support what's been presented as a binding caucus that ties your hands and makes you vote what you don't want to do. The binding caucus, Republican caucus in which I was a member and a leader, required you only to support the final budget. After all the amendments were done, you had to make sure to pass a budget, because to govern is to be in charge and it is to be a responsibility. If people want to be in the minority and not have any power to make the conservative principles work, they can have a non-binding caucus, but if you want to govern, you have to take responsibility. And finally, the question about federal funding. Alaska received a tremendous amount of federal funding. We're a new state, and just like other states had their self-built by federal funds, we should have that opportunity. We get $9 for every dollar we put up from the federal government. We don't want to cut off 9% of our money.
Thank you, Dan. Now we'll pass over to Daryl Nelson.
Hi. There was a bunch of departments I would eliminate, starting with the Adult Protective Services. They are a waste of money, because a lot of nonprofits, Access Alaska, Hope Community Resources, ARC, and Access, they are four big ones that they're getting a whole bunch of money, and a lot of people with disabilities are connected to those. So why is the state paying for double paying? Because those nonprofits could be doing what the Adult Protective Services are doing. The Office of Children's Services could be cut in half, or at least cut in half or eliminated, because they got nonprofit for the children too, and we're double paid. So the state, that's where the waste is, and I think that with how much money we yet we should think about being our own country. Thanks.
Thank you, Daryl. On to Ken McCarty.
Okay, thanks. This is a big question for 2 minutes. So first of all, I voted for you to have a full PFD. I want to get to 5,500. I believe that the statute needs to be changed back to the way the original formula is. In the aspect of moving the Alaska forward, we have to get businesses that are moving and infrastructure to help businesses move products. I believe in a railroad that goes all the way to Whitehorse. I believe in a railroad that goes all the way to Point McKenzie. I believe in making it easy for moving products, and that the state needs to be representing the businesses here. In the aspect of taxation, I don't believe in adding more taxes. I believe in let's move, like I talked to AOGA people, it's like if we move more oil down taps, that's going to bring more revenue for the state, more benefits overall. Same thing for our issue of fisheries, that there's fish out there. Right now in Bristol Bay, my friends just caught 81 million pounds of fish. That's 30 million pounds more than the last time, the record that they made, okay? So what's going on with the fisheries is just from flux there, but that needs to be explored. Food security. We have 100,000 acres of the Nanachachaka. We have 10,000 acres over in the west of Sitna to have food security. And if we do that land for ag, it needs to be under an endowment. So that way it's only for ag purposes, and we're not building houses on beautiful ag land like what they did in Palmer. And just a sad situation there. So we need to have a strong infrastructure. We need to have a plan, a 10-year plan. Back in '62, that Kennedy said we're going to put a man on the moon by the end of the decade. And we need to have actual goals for our state of moving our infrastructure, our businesses, manufacturing, so the state really grows. There's a lot more. I have thoughts to this, and I'm happy to talk to you or email you about these things. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Sharon Jackson is our final candidate question.
Okay, so I too misunderstood the question, so appreciate this time to have a conversation. On the tax question, sales tax or income tax, if you ask me a question, this or that, I'm going to answer you this or that. But quite frankly, we don't need taxes here in Alaska. We're not as broke as they may have us to believe. And what I would like to see, I would like to see a zero-based budget. I never hear that conversation. Why not zero it out and have requests from different administration or whatever come to the committees and tell us what they need and why, and then hold them accountable. And I know this, I never heard anyone talk about this, and it is going out on the limb, but if we keep talking about the same things and expect different results, we're not going to resolve anything. I believe in a constitutional convention. You know why? Because I believe in you. I believe in you. I believe in the people. I believe the problem has been the government knows better than the people how to spend your money. I believe the people know better. A constitutional convention, the people will have a say, and we, the people, for the people, by the people. And I'm out of time, so meet me by the table and we can talk more.
Thank you, Sharon. All right, we are going to give each candidate 1 minute for a closing statement. And since that time was reverse alphabetical, this time will be alphabetical. And we are going to begin with Clayton Trotter.
Reasons for me to ask you to vote for me. First of all, I'm a Gold Star dad. My son, John Byron, gave his life in Iraq. He was killed moving forward in the Army. So I'll do everything possible that I can do to help our military men and women in Alaska. I'm a UAA professor for over a decade. I believe in education, and I've been teaching students now for over 30 years. As a UAA business law professor, I can bring my business and legal experience to the Senate. As far as I know, there's no other lawyer that's a Republican in the Senate. And then finally, as a member of the Supreme Court Bar and General Counsel of the Justice Foundation, I've been fighting for private property rights, free enterprise, limited government, and life for 30 years. And I'd like to represent you, and I'd ask for your vote to do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Clayton. Will you pass it this way to Joe? Thank you. Joe Wright.
Thank you. First off, running for Senate District L, I guess the first question you have to ask when you're looking out there is, what do you expect that somebody's going to represent you down in Juneau? Look at their principles, and I will tell you, the reason why I'm running is I believe in service. I believe service equals sacrifice. And in most of the work that I've done over the years, it's about what I can bring to the community. And if you have questions, reach out to me. I'm always available, and I'd love to hear from you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe. We'll pass it down to Roger. Thank you. Roger Branson.
First of all, I'd like to thank HD24 for putting this on, and I'd like to thank all the candidates and the audience for coming to us. This shirt I'm wearing is Hope to Alaska. It was an effort by Alliance Christian Fellowship to address mental health issues locally last fall, and I'm proud to support that. Right now, the folks in Centennial Camp need our support, need our help. They need human beings to come in and relate with others at the human level. If anyone wants to come visit them, I'm in campsite 13. I'd love to have you come in. I'd love to chat with you and introduce you to folks that I think that might help you see another understanding. And all donations, we need everything. Tents, sleeping bags, flashlights, and we're asking church groups to gather together and help supply those to Salvation Army, 1712 A Street, and cash donations as well to the Salvation Army, salvationarmyalaska.org. And I thank them for their efforts. And I will serve the HD23.
Thank you, Roger. That's time. All right, Sharon Jackson.
Sharon Jackson, candidate for House Representative for District 24. We are not at a turning point. We are at a point of no return. I am loyal to God and to my community, and I believe now more than ever, you deserve someone to go and represent you, represent your voice. To me, your voice is not for sale. A binding caucus is selling your voice. I would be honored and privileged to go shine the light of truth, represent you and your voices. Vote Sharon Jackson, District 24.
Thank you, Sharon. We will now hear from Ken McCarty.
All right, thanks for having this event. We need to have conservative Republican people in the majority of the House and the Senate and in the governing office for the state to really make a big difference, but conservative values that we have. So I have a statement I made, and see if I can get it in here in the time, that I'm no stranger to you, and I'm delighted to meet and chat over coffee, store, any venue. In Juneau, I have witnessed poor leadership, statesmanship, role modeling, and thwarting of good legislation by a poorly managed majority. Good government is one that avails education towards a strong workforce, invites businesses, reduces overregulation, avails by vibrant and diverse infrastructure, balances a pragmatic budget, holds to spending cap based on the people, economy, not the state's ambition, supports our police, fire, teachers, enforces our laws, follows the Constitution, and proactively plans for our future, and holds to strong morality and values like "in God we trust." I'm Ken McCarty, running for state Senate here, District L.
Thank you, Ken. Daryl Nelson.
Hi, I would like you to vote for me because I'm the only candidate out here that is been on the government system and knows the problems, that knows what it needs to be, and I know there's a lot of people in the audience that are seniors, and I think because I've also been on the Alaska Care Program due to my father's employment from working for the state, I do know how good that program is. That program is a single payer program. You don't have to have a Medicare for all. It can be completely run by the state. It doesn't mean it's free. We pay for a premium. It's a wonderful program. I've been on it for 49 years. The only reason why I lost it is because my dad died. And I believe that in order to...
Thank you, Daryl. Dan Sadler.
I get to back cleanup. Very good. Well, I'm Dan Sadler, running for the State House from the House District 24. I'm a pro-business, pro-family, pro-gun, pro-life kind of guy. I'm running because I believe in democracy and I believe in our system of government, and this is the way I can best serve God and my community, is by serving the legislature. I believe it's important that we have effective conservative Republicans in majorities that work in the House and Senate, and I pledge to be part of a working Republican-led coalition that can get things done. I'm the only candidate in this race who has actually won 8 elections, primary and general. I have passed 13 bills into law. I have cut $167 million in the budget, and I have been a chairman and co-chairman, member of the Finance Committee, and a leader of Republican Caucus when we were in charge. I think that I'm proud of my record. It's out there for you all to see. I appreciate you paying attention now, but I'm proud of this community. I'm proud of what I've done in Juneau. I will work hard to be, I'll be proud to get your vote, and we'll work hard to make you proud of me and of our community. Thank you, Dan Sadler, State House District 24.
Thank you, Dan. You can just leave it on the table. I thank all of you for coming. I thank for all of you for participating. I thank our candidates for showing up tonight to be here to talk to you. We are going to close our formal portion of the evening. However, I do want to remind you that if you see this QR code and you want to give us a little bit of donation to help cover the cost of the event, we would appreciate it. There is a link on our Facebook page as well for those who are not here and can't see that QR code. The Facebook Live will be on our Facebook page. I always have to look up the name. District 24 Alaska Republican Party is the name of our Facebook page. So if there are comments on there, candidates, I encourage you to go and respond to those. Those that want to still stay and talk with our candidates, or if you just want to leave them a question and have them contact you after this evening, please feel free to write the questions on the cards and put them on the candidate's table or hand them to the candidate yourself. Thank you so very much for coming, and this ends the formal portion of our evening. We will be here until 9 o'clock, and at 9 o'clock we have to make sure everything's getting cleaned up and gone. Thank you.
Alrighty there, everybody. Thank you all for being here tonight. It was great. If you're just tuning in right now, please like and share. This was the Alaska Candidate Forum for, just one second. This is the Alaska Candidate Forum for House District 23 and 24 here in Eagle River, Alaska. The candidates that are all invited to be able to show up here tonight. No surprise that there was no Kelly Merrick inside of this forum this evening. She may have been censored, but this is a Republican forum, which she claims to be. It just shows you where her true loyalties lie with the PACs and the unions and the voices of her constituents that she's supposed to represent. Obviously wasn't important enough to be here this evening. Thank you all for being here again. Please like and share. You'll be able to find this video currently right now on YouTube, Twitter, here on Facebook on Politadick and Politadick Unfiltered. I have also shared it to several other pages, which I'm hoping that you too have done the same thing. The more Alaskans that we get to hear about what is going on and the people that are running in our current elections and what they stand for and who they represent, the better off we're going to be when it comes time to vote here in August and again in November. Time is short. Educate yourselves. The candidates are out there. Their information is out there. If you know of any other events that are going on, please send me in a message. I will be more than happy to show up and live stream them for you. And as always, please go to the website, Politadick.com, and click that support button. It's because of you, yes, you that are watching right now, your support that has made it possible for me to be here today. Thanks to a message that I received saying that be here, I'm here. And thanks to the donations that I have received, I was able to cover the gas money that it takes to be able to drive all the way from Big Lake out there in the valley here into Eagle River here today. Just like last night at the Anchorage Assembly meeting, I am planning on being active around the clock over and over and over again in everything that I can possibly get myself to, and am invited to be able to do this. And hopefully you guys are all doing your part by liking, sharing, and being a part of what makes this system work, and that's by participating and voting when it comes time. Thank you all again for being here tonight, and have a great evening.